guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, admittedly, it's been a while, but I thought, you know what, this has been on my mind a lot recently. The problem with the AAA standard of video games at the minute. I thought I would give my little piece on it, and then obviously talk to you guys more about it in the comments below. Now, without further ado, welcome back to the channel, and let's get straight into it. Now, it's been no secret that AAA games recently, maybe even a few years, have had a serious issue with quality. Certain ones, not every single one, like I'm not labeling them all, but certain ones, most recent ones being Call of Duty Vanguard and Battlefield. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they are both as bad as each other. They both have problems in their own areas and in their own ways, but to me personally, the way people are just attacking individual developers just because they work at these studios on social media, even making YouTube videos, tearing these people a new one, that's just not necessary. I mean, they're part of a much larger machine, and in a lot of cases they know what they're working on. They don't necessarily know of the whole scope and picture of the game. I mean, they're only one part. If you want to blame anybody, blame the people making the decisions, the people making the deadlines, stuff like that, unrealistic targets, because let's face it, as much as I love certain studios and favour certain studios' games, it doesn't matter how talented your team is. If it's an unrealistic expectation and they just don't have enough time to fulfill the vision they have for their game, it's not gonna come out pretty. And that just keeps happening. Like, it doesn't matter what developer it is. DICE, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, anybody. Flipping look at CD Projekt Red. Unrealistic expectations, unrealistic goals by the people making these decisions are flat out damaging the games. I mean, the games are coming out, people have spent years working on these games, and then because of the state they're in, all people are doing are absolutely tearing them apart. Now, Cyberpunk was probably the worst in a very, very long time. I would say close to a decade, maybe even longer. But still, it doesn't set a good precedent for AAA games when almost every AAA game comes out now loaded with bugs or issues. Now, a handful of bugs, that's normal. Like, the whole patching generation started on the PS3 and the 360, maybe even earlier than that on the PC, where you would just find an issue, people report the issue, find out a way to fix it, patch it, done. There you go, your game's in a much better state. Nobody's going to be talking about it. You know, all people will say it's a good game, so on and so forth. Like, patching helps. You know, it helps the image of the game and helps the player base stick around and actually play. But when the game comes out and certain aspects are flat out missing, like, especially if it's a sequel, it's even worse if it's a sequel, and it makes it look like the studio doesn't understand the game they're working on. Now, that's not just one studio, there are multiple studios have done this, and their games have come out, their games have been sequels to previous games, and now nobody probably wants to work on the exact same thing for years and years and years of their life, and that be all their career is. So people are going to come and go, talent's going to come and go. Teams that make like the best games in the series aren't necessarily going to be there 7 years later when they're making another new game, and everybody's putting the same expectations on this game. The studio's name stays the same, but the people inside, it's like a revolving door. It constantly changes. It's like a factory. I work in a factory. It's like a factory. People come and go. There's always people changing. There's always things changing. Processes being changed. Things being done certain ways. Things being done different ways. Trying new things to see if they work. All of this all adds up to the bigger picture, and if it all works out right, great. There's a brilliant product at the end, people are happy, money's being made, jobs are kept, because at the end of the day, if a game comes out and everybody's tearing it apart, this is rubbish, this is really try not to swear, and people stop buying it, people stop playing it, and its player base dies away. You've lost money on a product which you feel you're not getting the money's worth out of. Yes, that's bad, but it's nothing compared to potentially losing your job. I mean, if a game comes out and it's really that bad, it could shutter the studio, and all those people would lose their job. Sure, you've lost £70 or $70 or $150 or £150 on a special edition that you've waited for and you've bought for this game. Fallout 76 is actually a recent one I remember for that one, and you feel you've been ripped off. It's just, aye, that's great, you've lost that small sum of money. But they could lose their jobs, because this could end people's careers. I mean, one horrifically bad game, and somebody, even if they've had a brilliant career up to that point, they could find it difficult to get a job somewhere else, especially doing the same thing. For example, a game director. If a game comes out and it is horrible, it's going to be quite hard for them to get a job being a game director somewhere else. So, peeps, I would spare a thought for the people that actually work in these companies, because the people making the decisions and people that can actually see everything coming together, like the ones that are supposed to do that, sure, they have a lot to do with what's wrong in a certain game if it comes out and it's not right. They also have a lot to do with communication internally. I mean, for example, CD Projekt Red, when Cyberpunk came out, there was tweets and stuff I had seen that certain members of staff didn't even know the game was coming out until they started seeing people posting pictures up holding their copy of the game. That's an example of really bad communication. Now, I'm not slandering any of these studios. I'm just trying to say that this is a sorry state for AAA. More and more studios it's happening to. Publishers need to realise that if they really want a big, next generation, brilliant, fantastic game, all sorts of innovation, incredible gameplay and stuff like that, that stuff takes time and money. Every generation that comes out, it costs more to develop a game. I mean, look at what Sony's been saying recently. And even Konami, it's not Konami, is it? Square Enix? Is that what you still call them? They're just making Final Fantasy and stuff. They don't want the games to take 5 to 7 years to make anymore. The margin for profit and sustainability doing that, really, it's getting smaller by the year. Sony themselves, I think I remember Sean Layden having an interview recently, well, maybe not recently, but he stated that he didn't think that game development, the current way it's working, is feasible the long term, which that may not exactly be what he said word for word, but that's more or less what I took from it. And you are starting to see smaller games come out, but they're still quality. Like, for example, the Lost Legacy standalone Uncharted game, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like, I'm happy enough to pay £30-40 for a smaller chunk of a game if it still looks absolutely fantastic, plays really, really well, and is quality. Quality is like the biggest underlying issue all of these developers are facing at the minute, because people are questioning it. I mean, look at what's happening with Raven Software's quality team. Activision was trying to outsource it and sack all these people. So some companies just don't seem to have the same interest in quality as everybody else. Some of them seem to think, well, it's alright, we'll get the bugs, we'll see all these reports, the players will find the bugs for us, and then we'll patch them later and look like the good guys for doing it. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. Well, not for the majority of people, but to close the video off, because this is a conversation that if I had somebody else with me, we could go on and on and on and on. Basically, it's just, guys, be respectful to other people. This is their jobs, right? And if your game isn't what was pitched to you, it isn't what was advertised to you, it's not the quality that you're used to from these people, put your money where your mouth is. Stop playing it. Stop buying the products. If they notice their numbers are in a downturn, then it'll force the publisher to do something. So, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch my video, guys. This is probably not the tone of the videos I'm going to be making going forward, but I just wanted to get it out there because I like the conversation that it creates. It's great seeing everyone's different opinions, so thanks again, guys, and let's make sure it's not months and months and months before I make another video.